तोड़कर अल्लाह अल्लाह तू मेरी सुन ले सदा. Atiq Rahman on your radio set this morning, bring us up to 6:52. Hasbunallah. Energy and Electricity and Energy Minister Ramakgopa is assembling a committee of experts to advise him on the role that nuclear could play in South Africa's future supply before issuing a new ministerial determination for the possible procurement of 2,500 megawatts of new nuclear capacity. Speaking at a briefing on the sidelines of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy Nuclear Summit held in Gauteng on September 12, Ramakgopa reported that he would also first be seeking the advice of an expert advisory group, which was currently being assembled, and the identities of the individuals were thus not provided. So joining us this morning is our expert, Vally Padayachee, power and energy expert and former executive manager of Eskom Generation and former senior executive of City Power Johannesburg. Vally, always such a pleasure to see you in the morning and chat with you as well. Good morning and welcome back to the Breakfast Rush.
Salam alaikum and a very good morning to you, Nichelle and Nazmira. And to your viewers and listeners, I'm glad to be back on your fabulous show. Thank you.
As I say, always a pleasure having you. Now, Vally, tell us, how can nuclear energy play a role in diversifying South Africa's energy mix and enhancing energy security?
Let me try and keep it as simple as possible because, Nichelle, the subject matter of nuclear can get very complex even to my engineering colleagues. So just to keep it simple, for engineering security, two factors are critically important. Mainly, the first one is a safe, reliable, and resilient electricity grid infrastructure. And secondly, we need an always-on, dispatchable, reliable energy source or energy carrier 24/7, 365. Now, nuclear energy is considered one of the most effective and efficient energy sources or carriers with our energy availability factors ranging from 90 to 95%. Just as a comparison, solar and wind are considered non-dispatchable, not always on because of weather and intermittency, and their capacity factors are about 25 and 40% maximum, respectively. And just a final point on that, too much of renewables on the grid will make the grid unstable. Hence, and I repeat this, a technology like nuclear energy is required to keep the grid cost-effectively stable. Michelle.
Mm-hmm. How does nuclear power compare to other renewable energy sources, solar and wind, in terms of reliability and baseload power generation in South Africa?
That's an excellent question, Nazmira. That always comes up in the discussions. As indicated, nuclear energy is one of the best baseload energies, meaning 24/7, when compared, as I say, to solar and wind. Nuclear is on always 24/7, 365, and of course, solar and wind are not always. Nuclear, and this is important, and many may not know, can last up to plus or minus 50 years, while renewables like solar and wind can last to about plus or minus 30 years. Hence, and arguably, the total life cycle costing of nuclear is far less than renewables. But I must clarify at this juncture, Nazmira and Michelle, is that it's not a case of choosing nuclear over solar and wind. As an energy mix, and the minister has made it very clear, we need all three and other technologies, including nuclear, solar, and wind, which will effectively and efficiently complement or supplement or underpin solar and wind technologies. So it's a case of getting all technologies in the energy mix and not selecting one for the other, Nazmira.
So, Vali, what are some of the key environmental benefits of nuclear energy compared to traditional fossil fuel-based power generation in South Africa?
That's another excellent question, Michelle. I'm glad you asked that. When compared to coal, for example, nuclear has the lowest carbon content. Hence, it is a critical component enabling South Africa and arguably the globe to achieve its or their decarbonization, jet and net zero targets by, say, 2050. Importantly, and let me emphasize this, South Africa will not reach its jet targets and achieve net zero by 2050 with only renewables, meaning solar and wind, etc., installed on the national grid. Nuclear energy is always required to enable South Africa to reach net zero by 2050. And of course, and for safety reasons, disposing nuclear waste can get more complex than that of other fossil fuel-based technology, but this has never been a problem locally and globally.
Mhm.
Michelle.
What are some of the challenges and opportunities in developing a nuclear energy program in South Africa, considering factors such as infrastructure, skills development, and public perception?
Okay, I can talk for hours on that, but let me, meaning in terms of opportunities, well, let me focus on the challenges first. Unfortunately, and this is really unfortunate, in recent years, and unfairly, the nuclear sector has been soiled, bad-mouthed, thrashed, and given a bad name by unqualified professionals and what I term so-called armchair commentators, some with hidden agendas. Fortunately, the global narrative, driven by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAE for short, for increased use of civil nuclear, that's for peaceful purposes, is fast changing and augurs well. Nuclear scientists, this is my opinion, nuclear scientists and nuclear engineers, and we have a number of them in South Africa, must now come out of their research and laboratory closets and must start marketing nuclear in the cold face. They need to be at the forefront. The other challenge is obviously funding or financing a nuclear infrastructure can get expensive. However, a new technology called the Small Modular Reactor, SMR for short, nuclear technology, promises to make the procurement of SMR and nuclear in general more affordable through some very innovative off-balance sheet funding models and long-term power purchase agreements. And we can get agreement PPAs ranging from 25 years to 50 years. And this will make the cents per kilowatt hour very, very favorable. And maybe just as the last point on the subject matter, admittedly, we've lost a lot of nuclear skills and to other countries, but we do have a critical mass left in South Africa, and we can try and bring back those that left the country. And this was made very clear at the summit, nuclear summit, which I attended. The use of SMR nuclear technology is an ideal opportunity to fast track reskilling, etc.
Absolutely. And so a final question this morning: how could nuclear power help in tackling energy poverty and improving energy access for underserved communities in our country?
That's another excellent question, Michelle. Importantly, and let me emphasize that small modular reactors, SMRs, say from plus or minus 10 megawatts to 300 megawatts in size, also do not need much cooling water like the big traditional nuclear reactors called the PWRs, and can be easily and literally plunked or installed literally anywhere in the country, including rural areas along the coast, in the interior, for example, in Mpumalanga, thus providing essential power to those people previously inaccessible. And I must also add, Michelle, the serious challenge we now face in South Africa is that the price of electricity from both Eskom and the municipality that we know is skyrocketing and going through the roof and making it almost unaffordable for the plus or minus 95% poor people. They are now facing what we call, and the minister has made this quite clear, emphasized this, they are now facing what we call energy poverty, meaning lots of them are leaving the electricity grid or just can't afford to access electricity, which is a pity, and are going back to traditional means of eating, lighting, cooking, etc. In South Africa, this is my final point on the subject, besides policy and structural changes, which the ministry and the minister in particular are focusing, we need technologies. We need technologies like cost-effective nuclear, especially through SMR technologies and associated business models like off-balance sheet model, etc., to assist in bringing the price of electricity down. Let me leave it there.
Indeed. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Vally Padayachee. Always appreciated. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
There you go, folks. That was Vally Padayachee, power and energy expert and former executive manager of Eskom Generation and a former senior executive at City Power Johannesburg, lending his thoughts on nuclear energy here in South Africa and, of course, that summit that took place most recently here in SA. The next video that comes up is going to be for that person that wants to win a PS5.
The Breakfast Rush Main News Bulletin.
Breaking news at 7, 5 men arrested for allegedly blocking the construction of a